Hi, this is Wei here. I got my early morning coffee, and for some reason, just realized on YouTube there have been like almost 800 views on my POE preparation video, which is something like a bit unlikely. It usually doesn't happen, mostly because I have a very small community here, and I don't do this I have a day job, so this is literally just my hobby. I figured that probably likely it'll be a whole bunch of people who are gonna look at this game mostly because of D4 being bad, but also because there are POE players who will most likely need some form of guidance because they're not exactly that strong at building builds. So yeah, I'm gonna do two portions of this video. One is how to advise POE players on how to progress, like what are good things to think about when you want to league start, and the others for D4 players, because I honestly feeling that D4 is such a completely different game and completely different requirements for doing well. And I think you generally, because of that, most of the D4 players kind of fit in the same box, and you can kind of guess what they're gonna need, right? So I'm gonna start off with this. If you're a POE player and you're thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to succeed in this patch? First things first, picking your ascendancy is the first thing that is the most important for you, because the ascendancy kind of determines not only your start point on the tree and what weapon skills and things you have access to, but also determines like what you're able to do or not do, right? So let's say, for example, you pick a sorceress, and you're doing lots of magic damage, but you move quite slowly, pretty decent clear, consistent clear, and you pick, let's say, for example, something that can scale well, like Chrono Mage, Archmage build. Okay, then your objective is to push content, to push into difficult content, to do pinnacle bosses eventually, because there's no reason why you would go this and then not do that. And let's say, for example, you want to go Deadeye, right? If you're going Deadeye, it's a fast build, it's ranged, so it's a lot more stuff like avoiding damage, hit and run kind of thing, right? And so you're actually not pushing pinnacle content. That's not your focus. Your focus is on clearing maps as fast as possible, and to focus on getting loot from those maps. So identifying the kind of gameplay that you're comfortable with is essential to figuring out what kind of build you're going to start with, what ascendancy you're going to start with. Okay. Anyway, let me give you some rough priorities that you would have depending on what your preferences are. So if you want a tanky build that allows you more room for mistakes, allows you more space to make, allows you more space to like fuck up, right? Because think about it, in POE1 you had 6 portals to fuck up, and POE2 you're literally playing like the pseudo hardcore mode. You only have 1 portal to fuck up. If you fuck up in that 1 portal, you lose that map, or you lose that boss encounter or whatever. And it's extremely punishing that way, right? Because it means a lot of times the encounters that you face, it's something that you've done it for the first time only, right? If any of you remember, what was it, when we had Awakener and we had to do all those bosses, and then we had to do Sirius. Like, it was so frustrating because when the bosses are hard and you fuck up and you lose that boss after farming for the invite, like for the past, I don't know, 2 hours, it feels like a gut punch, okay? So if you're someone who really wants to push the hanging content and really wants to like do all the difficult stuff and be a elite gamer, I don't know what the fuck you're gonna be, but you have to pick a tanky class. And almost means that like your ascendancy really determines the kind of tankiness you'll have, because it determines your start point, and it depends what you have available. So I'm going to highlight only 2 major classes I think that fit in this criteria. There is a third, which I think it depends. Okay, so the first 2 classes are Gemling Legionnaire, and I think crossbows. I think 2-handed maces was an interesting idea, but when it comes to damage output, I think crossbow grenades are just insane. All right, if you look at the numbers and look at how it operates, I think crossbows and I just dumb. Okay, I think crossbows are like super strong. Also, endurance charges don't work the way they used to before, so it doesn't give you any passive bonuses. So no point pathing left side of the tree, right? You just want to stay like bottom, take all the crossbow nodes. You might even want to go top to get evasion nodes, because evasion might be really good. Next thing also is that the life nodes here don't give you a lot of life anymore. They give like 3%, like at best 3% life. It's not a lot. So where your majority scaling of life is actually going to come from attributes. But here's the thing, okay? Your attributes are, it used to be that when you path right side, it'll be all dex, and you path left side, it's all strength. When it comes to Gem Legion, and the great thing is that you can assign, so all these attribute nodes can be assigned. You can either have them as strength, you can either have a dex or an int. So that means you can build like a certain kind of stat in any direction, in any class for any build, right? So here's my suggestion, right? For Gem Legionnaire, you go a pure hit based setup. You don't go for crit, okay? And you get precise. So precise technique is here. Basically means that you always hit, but you can never crit, and that deals with the penalty of range. So range has a penalty, right? So you have an accuracy penalty the further away the mob is from you. You can use dex. Or dex gives you accuracy. You can use dex to make up for it. But my suggestion is you actually go here, take precise, which means you always hit. You will just never crit, right? And then you path up here and get all strength attributes instead of dex, and then you get evasion. So you have both high life, high evasion, and still the ability to hit stuff. And then you're Gemling Legionnaire, so you can just stack on like red gems and get like max fire res, so you can probably hit 90% max fire res. And then you get Cloak of Flames. So Cloak of Flames is like one of the priority uniques for this build. Allows you to mitigate like 36% of your fizz damage, incoming fizz damage. And so then you have a relatively tanky character where most of your tankiness is coming from mitigations, okay? So evasion's a mitigation, high res is a mitigation, that sort of thing. So that's Gemling Legionnaire. The other is Chayula Monk. And Chayula Monk may or may not be a bait, because we don't know how nerfed leeches. So in the past in POE1, leech was exceptionally good. If leech is anywhere close to what it is in POE1, or at least 50% of what it is in POE1, it will mean that your character is pretty much unkillable. I'll look at it this way, okay? Instant leech for mana, which turns into instant leech for ES, is kind of disgusting, okay? Especially with the defensive keystones on this other tree. I'll explain why. And so what you want is, you want probably a mana pool about 5k, and you want an ES pool about 5k. There's no point going higher than like, it's like 6, 7, 8, 9k for ES, mainly because the recovery of your ES is limited by the recovery of your mana. That's how Chayula Monk works. And so you want like 5k, around 5k ES and 5k mana, but then it gives you a 10k EHP pool. If your mana is like 3k, maybe you can have 5k ES, so that's a 8k EHP pool, right? Which is still better, because if you think about it from a life-based perspective, I don't think most life builds will go above 5 or 6k. Yeah, anyway, let's move on. The strength of Chayula Monk is that the double recovery. So I think we covered this in the previous video. When you're recovering mana, which acts as life because of Mind Over Matter, and then you have with CI. So you have chaos immunity, which means you don't need as many suffixes, right? You're not as suffix stuffed. You don't have to get chaos res at all. And then you can get like auto resistances, fire, cold, lightning. And then you can also get attributes, right? So I'll give you an example of an attribute you want to stack. Well, it's probably intelligence. Intelligence both gives you percentage ES, I think, or was it damage? I can't remember. From one of the notables. But int also gives you flat mana, right? So that gives you like EHP pool. So int does both EHP as well as, I think, damage or more EHP. I can't remember. But yeah. So Chayula Monk strength is the double recovery on a huge life pool. The second thing is that when you look at monk damage, okay, monk damage is actually pretty solid. I think it's comparable to grenades if you do like skill rotations. So a lot of monk is like this. If you look at Flicker Strike, you look at Falling Thunder, they do insane amounts of damage as long as you have power charges. Okay, so getting charge generation is actually a huge priority for monk damage. I don't think most of Monk damage is going to come from like flat percentages on trees. I don't think that's how it works. Monk will probably gets damage on like 1 to 4 skill rotation. So you have like 3 or 4 skills that you rotate in correct or precise order given the circumstances, and then you have a finisher. The finisher is where a majority of damage comes in. But I think the finisher damage that you do will be comparative to something like cluster grenades or something. As strong as cluster grenades. And so a lot of the monk pathing is kind of guaranteed. You know where you're going already, right? You need your power charges in order to get damage, or you need some form of power charge generation to get damage. I'm not convinced at the moment that max power charges may be the way to go. So it's quite possible for you to just bypass these 2 nodes and just go straight to this one where you get quarterstaff skills count as 1 extra power charge use. That is insanely broken because let's say you just have 1 power charge, it counts like you have 2, and so you may not want to generate up to 7 power charges. What you will do is you generate up to like just 1 or 2, and then you just dump it. Every time you get like 1 or 2 power charges, you just dump it because you're getting 1 extra power charge. You're doubling your power charge use every single time. So it really depends on how spread out you want your rotations to be. Do you want it to be like you have a skill that gives you a power charge in every like 3 hits and then you instantly dump it, or you want to have a skill that a couple of skills where you press until you get like 7 power charges and you dump all 7? So that is something I haven't really figured out yet. I don't have enough information. Game hasn't started, so yeah. Anyway, so this is Chalila Monk. This is how we scale damage as well as skill survivability. A lot of survivability scaling is actually on this side of the tree. So you're gonna path up here. You're gonna get percentage in. You're gonna get the ES node for int, and then you go Mind Over Matter here. You get Whispers of Doom here. You use Hand of Chalila, which is the what is it called, the Anam skill to apply curses. You can apply 2 curses at once. That sort of thing. Okay, so the defense is all the way up here on the top side, and then damage here on this side with power charges, and probably some 1 or 2 notable wheels here probably. And then if you want more defenses, you can go here and get acrobatics. You can go into evasion, right? So you have not just a huge HP pool with recovery on it. You have at least a layer of mitigation on that. So the layer of mitigation is evasion, kind of like what I explained in Gambling Legionnaire. Okay, now that's the last option. The last option is actually Time Mage, Archmage. And what Archmage does is you can build a sizable ES pool and a sizable mana pool, and then use Archmage, right? So the only real downside of this is I don't think there are ways of solving for recovery. Maybe some form of skills, like skill combinations, will give you enough recovery to sustain your mana, but I do feel that right now this is not something that looks sustainable to me, right? It's the same thing with Monk recovery. We don't know how strong Leech will be. Down here you're relying on like some weird janky skill rotations, I think, to get flat mana, right? Like from minion death or something like that, or from mob kills or something like that. Comes to bosses, I don't think there is very good sources of mana generation, and you're spending 5% of mana with every spell cast. So for me, that's the iffy part about Time Mage and Archmage. I'm not sure how that works. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so how this build will be like, I can't really go into detail. I would advise you go to Captain Lance. I haven't put stock into this mainly because this is just not my type of playstyle. It's also not something I'm interested in doing, but I do see the value in what he's suggesting. So if you want to learn more about this, go to Captain Lance. He probably knows more about it than me. Okay, that's the first half of the guide for POE players. The second half is there are also builds that you can focus on that focuses on different content, right? And the different content I want to talk about is actually stuff like fast mapping. Hopefully there's rarity find. I think there's rarity find, and you can kind of do some form of magic find. And for that, you actually want to go something like Ranger. So you want to go Deadeye. I don't think Pathfinder is great, by the way. Pathfinder looks really ass as a Ascendancy right now. Poisons look terrible. Anyway, and so what's great about Deadeye is actually Tailwind. So Tailwind gives you 20% action speed. 20% action speed means 20% more movement speed, 20% more action attack speed, and since dodge rolls are affected by movement speed and probably action speed, maybe you get some form of multiplier there. I think you have insanely fast dodge rolls probably, and then when it comes to damage, it's pretty straightforward. I'll give you an example. what is like the best damaging range ability right now, in your opinion? It's grenades, right? So you're here anyway. So you're starting from Deadeye here, you path here. You want to get acrobatics for evasion? Sure. That's a pretty decent defensive layer. And then you path down here and you can go grenades. So that's kind of what I want to do if I want to start Deadeye. I don't think... Okay, so for example, it's also quite possible for you to go like monk skills. You can go like... Because the power charge node is here, right? This is the staff power charge node. You can actually go staff and power charge if you want, but I just think that it's not as viable. Maybe you can go freeze cold damage on staffs and just freeze stuff constantly, right? So you don't have to worry about getting hit. And then with the extra action speed from Tailwind, you're gonna be freezing stuff so fast and so consistently, it's not really a problem. So you can also go staffs here, but I think the strength about Deadeye is you are very fast, very mobile, and you can farm for it very quickly. And then you go here for mitigation, for acrobatics, all the evasion nodes. You path here, get crossbow nodes, and you're gonna go both a mix of strength and dex attributes, really depending on what you need. Okay. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I have no confidence in slams at the moment. I don't like. It doesn't really look solid. I did consider some Warbringer, Infinite Warcry shit, but I think in general melee is like this. You kind of want great damage that locks down your opponent, or you have trouble with stuff swarming you. I think Monk has that, but I'm not sure about Titan, right? And I don't like Titan has 20% more life, yes, but since most of life is gonna come from strength, there's no really any percentage life on tree. I don't think that your life totals for warrior is gonna be insanely high. It's probably gonna be 5k at best, I think, or 6k at best. And for that reason, I'm like not so keen on it. Yeah. Necro spellcaster, I probably kind of good. I won't go into details because I am not a minion player. I've tried minions in POE1. I don't really like the playstyle. But yeah, I think Infernalist would be the way to go because of the demon dog. So yeah, that's pretty much it for POE players. This is generally how you would want to figure out your league starts. Generally how you want to go about, tackling the first few days of launch. Now let's move on. If you're a D4 player, okay, here's the thing. I know the kind of players you are. D4 is not a complex game. I'll be frank, and you're not prepared for the pain. Let's put it this way: you're not prepared for the pain. POE is a completely different beast as a game. It's a fucked up thing. All right, it's like BDSM if you want to ask me. It's like dragging your balls over broken glass kind of thing for you, right? That's how you would feel when you play POE. The great thing is that POE2 is considerably easier to access than POE1 because the systems are not as complex as POE1 at the moment. Like, you look at this tree and you go like, oh, this looks insanely difficult to understand. Yeah, and well, this is just the basic stuff, all right? And I'll get into that later. Anyway, if you're coming from D4, your information deficit is so great and so vast that there's no build I can give you. Let's put it this way: there's no build I can give you that will accomplish what you've been doing in D4. So I'm going to just tell you exactly what you've been doing in D4, which is you're going to follow very good content creators and just do exactly what they're doing. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. Okay, let me tell you exactly some. So when it comes to content creators, I'm going to give you certain build archetypes, and I'm going to give you certain content creators I think are the best for those archetypes. And I'm going to give you my all-rounded content creators I would follow that I think are best for you. And then you can just follow these people and you should do well. Secondly, I don't think any of the D4 players are going to be good at this. Maybe Woody Joe. Woody Joe is amazing. I think pretty much Woody Joe is going to go Deadeye. That's my take. Or Mercenary, right? He loves range characters. Rob probably will, Rob just does meta stuff, you know. He just copies stuff from other people and just min maxes it. But I don't think he's ready for the type of min maxing that POE is ready to offer. Anyway, yeah, I let's put it this way. If you want to do well POE, follow a POE content creator that has been doing it for a very long time, and a POE content creator that's generally very well respected by other builders. Okay, so people who build builds and say these guys are good, they're definitely good, right? A lot of other POE content creators are just like D4 content creators. They're just clickbait artists. They just put like attractive titles in the stream or on the YouTube, and they get view counts that way. They don't actually make good builds. Okay. First and foremost, you want to do Titan, you want to do Warbringer stuff, you want to do slams, El Kaiser X. He's the way to go. He's the man to go for this. You just watch his stream, see what he's doing in day 3, day 4. If he's doing slams, I don't know. I would assume he does. He literally does slams all the time. Anyway, he does mostly melee stuff all the time. So you go to El Kaiser. I would have suggested that you go to Khan, but there's no duelist and there's no Slayer, so just go to El Kaiser. Okay. Mercenary, I think Ruetoo is gonna play it, but I want to warn you, Ruetoo is not very good at explaining stuff. He's very good at building builds. He's probably the best build maker in POE. In terms of like, I'll do this metric in that time. Anyway, Ruetoo is probably one of the best build makers in POE. He's probably going to play a Gemini Legionnaire because he understands how strong the defensive layer is for this, and he understands how strong grenades are. That being said, you might go to his stream, but don't ask stupid questions. You'll get flamed. He might ban you. Just see what he's doing. Right. Eventually, at some point, someone in his community will build a guide, and then you can just follow that. But yeah. Anyway, Deadeye. If you're gonna go Deadeye, probably best guy to go for is Fabgun. All right. I'm not generally a Fabgun viewer. I don't really like his style of playing the game. He does mostly magic find stuff and just mostly does fast mapping stuff. But he loves range classes. And because of that, I think he will go Deadeye, which is not one of the fastest classes for speed mapping. I don't think he'll push difficult content, is my guess. He will just do like as fast a mapping as possible to farm as many units as possible, so they can make as much currency as possible. He will be the guy building the economy for you, right? For the rest of the other players. So Fabgun is the guy you want to go for here. Now, actually, let me just write down there the names of these people. Oh wait, let me. Oh, that's too small. Oh. Okay, so let me do Comic Sans. Okay, now next going to Monk, Shayula Monk. I don't know. Ben seems very keen on it, but he might just change his mind. So Ben is like the best POE player in the entire fucking game period. There's no other player that's better than him. Okay, think about it this way. Well, Ruetoo is someone I would consider the best builder. So the guy who comes up with the best builds. Ben is the guy who comes with the most efficient iteration of the best build. Right. So this is Ben. Oh shit. Darky. He changes his name. I mean, if he does Chayula Monk, he's the guy to go for if you want to know about it. So yeah. So that's who I would go to if I want to play like Chayula Monk. Hopefully he plays it. If he doesn't, then you know, suck it up. But hopefully I will have something for you. I don't know. So yeah. Then here, if you want to do minions, okay, minions is like really, really good. I would suggest Ghazi, but he tends to clickbait. So I'm sorry, Ghazi. I prefer K. I'm not sure if what's his name again? Game report. What's his name again? Ethan. Yeah. Game report or something like that. He's good for zombies and he's optimized for POE2, but I don't think he can come up with like a good POE1 build early. I think minions are like up for grabs. There's not many very good minion theory crafters. I feel like Kay is great, but she's kind of been out of POE for a while, and she doesn't really do like super insane optimization. But she's still, I think, the best resource for minions. So whatever, like it's okay gaming here. If you want to go minions. Now, if you want to go sorceress, I think the only like really strong meta for sorceress is going to be Archmage. There might be some interesting Ignite builds. But yeah, in that case, go Captain Lance. He's going to do Archmage, might never matter. He's probably your best bet if you want to try that setup and try to get it to work. Yeah. Alright, so if you're a D4 player, these are the people I advise you follow. That you follow, and the rest are just you watch them for entertainment. These are the people you probably want to watch to see what they're doing. Actually, I don't know if there's other minion players. Actually, really, minions don't really have a good representative, someone who actually understands everything about minions and then pushes it to like super end game. Yeah, because minions are so there's so much variety in them, right? So like you have people who focus on specters, you focus on zombies. I think POE2 minions are like such a completely different beast. It's so hard to tell like who will do well. So I would say like maybe a question mark here is what you look is how it would. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you're a D4 player, follow someone that you trust, and these are the people I would suggest that you trust. Okay. All right. That's it. Hope you enjoy your POE1, POE2 experience. This is my suggestion for you. Start on day 2. Don't start on day 1. Why? Day 1's probably going to have login issues, okay? They're not going to be able to scale up the servers well enough. They won't know how many people are going to play. So expect like a 100,000, 200,000 queue and not being able to get in, and whenever like you have random crashes, right? Because bugs, and then you'll be wasting a lot of time. But on the bright side, okay, this is on the bright side. This may happen, but GGG tends to turn this around relatively quickly. They're not like Diablo. They do care about their players. So yeah. Alright, see you guys on 6 or 7 of December or 8 of December. And have a good time. Bye.